lovely people of the internet, I am back on camera again and I am in my new home, so my background is going to look a little bit different, which is going to be interesting. It may change again, we will see. But yeah, today's video I'm going to compare the original Aladdin film to the live action one. Now, I actually quite liked the live action Aladdin film, so I'm not going to be heavily critical. There's a couple of the live actions that I haven't liked as much, so I'd probably be more critical, but yeah, so let's get started. So I will start with characters, and let's start with the elephant in the room, which is Will Smith as the genie. It was always going to be difficult to replace Robin Williams, I think, because he very much made that character his own. He improvised the lines a lot. He did all of his impressions. So someone else coming in and trying to replace that was never going to be easy. But I think Will Smith actually did a really good job. I liked it when they gave him more room to add like a little bit more of his own flair. So there's like a few bits in Friend Like Me where they've sort of changed up the segments so that it's something that's more him rather than what Robin Williams had put into it. And yeah, and just some of like his lines, his bits of like Dahlia and stuff, I think that's quite cool because that means he gets to make it his own character rather than just trying to replicate something that was going to be quite difficult to replicate. So yeah, I actually really like the genie in both. I probably do lean towards liking the original a bit more, but I think Will Smith did a really good job. I liked Aladdin in both. I don't think I really have any like significant differences as to which one I would prefer as such. I think Mina Masood did a really good job. Yeah, that's kind of it for Aladdin, I think. I also really liked the character of Jasmine in both. I probably prefer Jasmine more in the live action. I think that's because she gets another song. She's got a bit more to her as a character. I noticed some of the differences. It was in the original, Jasmine just wanted to go out and see the world and make friends, and wanted to be able to marry who she wanted to, whereas there's more of an emphasis on obviously she wants to be able to choose who she marries and she wants to see her kingdom, but she's actually more concerned with being able to rule and to look after her kingdom because she thinks she's best placed to do that. So I think that's cool, and I think Naomi Scott did a really good job. Jafar, I think I prefer the original Jafar, mostly because he was just more odd and quite evil in like a really quite evil way, whereas it felt like the Jafar in the live action was just a bit more sinister and traditional evil and didn't have quite as quirky a look. And yeah, I think I just preferred the original because of that. I also preferred the original Iago because, I mean, you can't replace Gilbert Gottfried. And yeah, and just Iago just lost, he doesn't speak, it's more realistic. And I get that that's the point of the live action, is to make it more realistic, but I felt like Abu still kept more of what he had in the original, even though he was a more realistic animal character. And on that note, I love Abu in both. I think they kept his quirkiness. I think he got to do more impressions, which are quite funny. He didn't like Jasmine at all in the original. And he got to like really show his displeasure about things like that. But I think, yeah, they kept enough of the quirkiness, and like when Abu picks up the red gem in the Cave of Wonders, it was like the same facial expression essentially, which was really cool. And I also absolutely adore Carpet in both because I can't believe you can make a character have so much emotion by saying absolutely nothing, and it's just tassel movements and just like creases in the carpet give you like the facial expressions and the body language, which is really cool. I do love in the live action though all that when they're sat in the desert, when Genie has got them out of the cave, and Carpet is sat there making a sandcastle that looks like the Disney castle, and he even does a little sprinkle across to represent the start of like all the Disney films. I thought that was super cute, and yes, I think Carpet, I think I preferred just a little bit more in the live action, but great in both. And I also like Raja in both, to be fair. I think they do a really good job again with making Raja more realistic as a tiger, but still keeping like that protectiveness of Jasmine and that affection for Jasmine. And I love the addition of Dahlia. I think she's great. I think that's nice because it helps you to build Jasmine's character more because she actually interacts with someone other than a tiger. And I love the romance between her and Genie. I think that's just so cute and so funny. When comparing the songs, I am mostly happy with the ones that are in the original that were redone. I think they mostly seem to work. I think One Jump Ahead feels a little bit slower, but I think that's because it allows for the live action to actually keep pace with the movements, whereas animation, it's quite easy to do it really quick, to have a faster paced song, so I think that made sense. I think Prince Ali is the one I like slightly less, and I think again that's because that one has so much of Robin Williams like all over it in the ad lib, and also the fact that you can make the crowd and stuff seem so much bigger in an animation than you can realistically in live action. So I think that was still done incredibly well, and I really liked it. And Friend Like Me I thought was really good because I think that was where they allowed Will Smith to really put a little bit more of himself into the song, so I think that's why it worked just about as good as the original. And I like that they still kept the drag scene of Genie in Prince Ali. I think that's brilliant. And Speechless is a great addition. It's got to be one of my favourite songs, I think. When it comes to the settings and the building of Agrabah and everything, I think the live action does win hands down. Aladdin's home is better, the desert scenes seem just more impressive because they're real. Agrabah is more developed. I like that it's near the coast, which I think is probably taking a bit of inspiration from the Tokyo Disney Sea Park, and I think that's really cool. The palace is more interesting. I think Jasmine's room has way more to it, which is cool. Yeah, and just bits like that. The Cave of Wonders is like pretty much identical. I think it's a bit darker. Apart from that, it's like nigh on the same. But I think the world in general is better in the live action. I think they just, they thought about it a bit more and just developing it and building it into more of a real place, which was cool. I forgot to compare the Sultans, and to be fair, I'm pretty neutral, which I think is why I forgot, because there's not a lot in it, but I think the Sultan is probably slightly more serious in the live action, and I quite like some of the funny quirkiness in the original, like with his little toy set that allows for some Easter eggs, because there's like some characters from other Disney films in there, and yeah, it's just got some funniness, like when he tries out the carpet and stuff. It's just cute and quirky, so yeah, but there's not much in it. Now I'll just talk about some of the key differences in general that I felt. So I miss a lot of Gilbert Gottfried's lines. I miss when he's taking the mick out of the Sultan, being like, Polly want a cracker, and just being not happy with it. And then in the scene where Jafar's taken power in the original, and then Iago is feeding the Sultan crackers because he's getting his revenge. Yeah, things like that I definitely miss. Oh yeah, lines like, I'm so ticked off that I'm molting, and just little things like that that are cute. I'd forgotten that Jasmine pole jumps in ease in the sort of general escape scene, sort of nearer the beginning in both, whereas she really struggles in the live action. I'm like, interesting. I love the scene where Prince Ali is presented to the Sultan and Jafar and Jasmine, and there's the jam scene. I think that is just so painfully awkward but so incredibly funny, and yeah, it's one of those additions that I love, and I'm quite happy that that got added in. It was great. I also like when Jasmine is asking Prince Ali where Ababwa is, and Genie like magics Disneyland onto the map. I think that's great, and that's a good little Easter egg. I love that. And then another difference, but more one that I prefer in the original, is during A Whole New World, when they're the ones that cause the Sphinx's nose to be broken. I think that's great, and I think that's a shame that wasn't put back in, because that's funny. I love what they see in A Whole New World in the live action. I think that's really cool, a little bit different, but not too dissimilar from the original. But yeah, they missed that key scene. I do also miss, there's a reprise of Prince Ali, but from Jafar's perspective, and I do miss that in the live action. I think that was quite a fun thing, but I get it that, yeah, that was replaced with Speechless, and I love Speechless, so it is what it is. We do miss some fun lines, because it's like the story is changed marginally, that when Aladdin has been exiled, then Jafar has got slave Jasmine, and the Sultan is being fed crackers by Iago, and you've got tiny little Kit and Raja, but there's some funny lines in there. So it's when Jafar is talking to the genie, he says, "Don't talk back to me, you big blue lout," which is really funny. And you have Genie talking to Aladdin, being like, I work for Senior Psychopath now. It's just, yeah, there's some really funny lines in there, and it's kind of a shame they changed it. It did become a much more serious scene, but I think a little bit it's more because of the fact that there's the emphasis on Jasmine taking a stand and kind of being the one to save everyone, really. It's not really Aladdin at the end of the day, it is more Jasmine. We also don't get Snake Jafar, which is quite funny, and yeah, it just shows another more evil side of Jafar. We also miss Genie as a cheerleader, being like, Jafar, Jafar, he's our man. If he can't do it, great, because he's happy that Aladdin is there and saving the day. But again, I get why they aren't in there. And then some of my favourite similarities, just that I haven't had a chance to touch on. I think I've said that I like that the cave scenes are very similar. I like that Aladdin tricks Genie into getting them out of the cave in both without using a wish. But then I like that then Genie then saves him when he drowns. It still uses a wish, but he cares about him so much. I like that there's the same accusation scene of Prince Ali of Jafar and the breaking of the staff. We have the same exile scene. Oh, I hate the scene where Aladdin doesn't want to use his third wish to free the genie anymore, and it's so heart-wrenching. But yeah, I like that. I like the freeing the genie scene, how they defeat Jafar, how Aladdin tricks him into wishing to become a genie. Yeah, and like the happy ending. The wedding scene is different. That's an addition at the very end of the live action, but I think that's cool, and that's quite Broadway, I think, so that's a nice little addition. But yeah. And I think those are my main favourite similarities, or not favourite, but like top differences. Yeah, so let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are on the two, which ultimately is your favourite. I think for nostalgia, my favourite is the original, but there are lots of bits about the live action that I really like and that are different to the original that I like that they were added, and I think it's a good remake, so that's a positive. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, do give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already, do hit subscribe so that you'll be notified when I do upload any future videos. I'll pop some links around here to some of my other videos that you might be interested in, and I will see you in my next one. See ya!